Hello, everyone, and welcome to our July APQC webinar. And today we've brought our knowledge management audience and our process management audience together to talk about tying knowledge to action and strategies for a modern digital workplace. And I think we all know that we live in a digital workplace these days, maybe even more than we did a couple of years ago. And that's created some challenges and maybe revealed some broken processes and KM problems. But the capabilities for digital work are improving all the time. We're constantly pushing the envelope on what's possible. And that's what's really exciting about right now. So I'm pleased to that end to introduce our speaker for today, Alana Cento, and Alana is Senior Product Marketing Manager for Sinequa, and I'll let her talk more about that when I pass things over to her. But I'll just say that Alana and I have been working together pretty closely over the last 6 months or so, partnering on some research, partnering on events. And Alana is very smart about the digital workplace and how KM fits into that and search. And also just a very thoughtful person who understands the importance of technology, but also how that dovetails with the people and process elements to affect meaningful change. And I know that we are new here at APQC to the Zoom platform, so I just want to encourage you guys, if you want to chat or have comments, please feel free to put those in the chat. But Alana will answer some questions at the end of the session. So if there's a question you want Alana to address, please do put that in the Q&A panel, and we will do that at the end of the call. And then if you are chatting, I noticed some people are chatting to all panelists. If you want to put your comment out to everyone, you may just want to change your setting to all panelists and attendees. As I've seen you guys put the comments in, I think not everybody's seeing all of the comments. So without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to Alana to talk about how to make knowledge actionable in the digital workplace.
Great, thanks so much, Lauren. All right, hi everyone. I'm really excited to be here today to talk to all of you about how you can better leverage knowledge to drive action. Excited that we have lots of people from many different states, countries, so thank you all for joining. All right. So I'll start with the fact that we all know that knowledge is incredibly powerful. It drives decisions in our daily life. It's really core to innovation. It helps us channel our creativity, work better together, and it also really stimulates cultural change. It's ultimately the reason why an organization is successful, but only if we can effectively use it, which is, of course, why we're here today. All right. So it's easier to create and share content and knowledge than ever before. We're more connected digitally than we have been, especially in the last year when many of us are working remote. Technology is really the biggest driver of this. We use communication, collaboration tools like Microsoft Teams, like Slack, through SharePoint, through project management tools and other business applications like our CRM systems. However, 82% of organizations are saying that they need to do a better job of tying knowledge to action. We're adopting technology all the time. We're using it more and more, yet it's actually accessing and surfacing knowledge is increasingly challenging. Now, how ready are organizations to address this problem? So according to this Deloitte research, 75% of companies say creating and preserving knowledge across their ever-evolving workforce is important or very important to their success over the next 12 to 18 months. However, only 9% say that they are ready to address this. So this represents really one of the largest gaps between the importance of knowledge and also the readiness to be able to, to take advantage of all that exists within and outside of our organization. And the need for change is growing. We've all seen it again in the last year. There's more data than ever before, a lot of content that lives out there, but especially really unstructured data that lives across all different repositories. And we have new ways of working. We're working remote. Some people are taking a more hybrid approach. So there's really a big technological, but also a cultural shift in the way that we work. Information no longer just sits in databases waiting to be accessed. It's being shared quickly and differently through things like Slack, through email, where we're accessing knowledge and we're using it on the fly. And based on a survey that we've accessed recently, employees switch between 35 job critical applications every single day, and 1,100 times per day. So it's a huge number. Again, more and more technology that we're adopting. And it's having a really huge impact on knowledge discovery. So we partnered with APQC earlier this year to do some research on challenges and what organizations are doing to help employees surface information and find what they need to do their job. And about half of respondents said that there's confusion about where information is stored. We have all different systems where we store it today, especially for global companies, for really large organizations. There are a number of many disconnected systems. That's really the big reason. And it has a huge impact on the employee experience, which we really need to focus on, especially now, given the way that the workplace is mainly evolving. So how can you unleash your data and make it actionable? So I want to share some real examples from some companies that we work with, that we know that are actually able to do this, specifically when we talk about intelligent search. Now, we use search in our everyday lives, of course, and it's really how successful organizations are able to fuel their knowledge management programs, mainly to help improve the quality of knowledge. Not every piece of content or information is created equal. They need to surface the right things in this sea of data and information that lives within, and the consistency and the reuse of this knowledge. So creating that single source of truth we hear often, and minimizing the use of inaccurate and often incomplete information. So like many organizations, Northrop Grumman is one that we work closely with, and they face challenges with making knowledge actionable and discoverable. They have over 90,000 employees across the globe who are working on very complex issues and projects and innovations, and they were struggling to bring that knowledge forward. And what they needed was first to enable the ability to access stored knowledge that existed. They had generations of employees, some are retiring soon, generations of data and content that needs to be acted upon. But also collaboration and being able to engage with specific content and individuals who are using the same information and collaborate effectively. And then probably most importantly, being able to access the business insights that actually drove action. So we'll talk a little bit about that in the coming slides. Now, the approach they took, so they chose to work with Sinequa because Sinequa, the main reasons being that they could support the complexity of their business and the decisions that need to be made, and also their needs around a customizable search solution that they could implement within their organization. And how the approach that they took in implementing this was a really lean one, creating prototypes that they could immediately test with their users and gather feedback on how they wanted to find information, what they wanted to see, how they wanted to see it, and how they wanted to collaborate. And they gathered that feedback and made improvements before they ultimately rolled out their search solution. Now, one of the main areas that they found in gathering user feedback is that making search more collaborative was one of the most important things. So they needed to build a search solution that allowed users to be able to engage with content, to collaborate on it. So some of the functionalities that they really put into place were building comments capabilities that let people share explicit and implicit knowledge with each other on the fly and as they worked. Creating links between related objects, related pieces of content that they knew were important to to be able to access when talking about a certain topic. Being able to share, this is probably the most important one, but being able to share, the most requested, share and save content, and users being able to customize their search and be able to access very specific things quickly. Engaging quickly with points of content or expertise within the organization in a specific area. This is something that we hear from most of our customers is most important. You oftentimes have an issue that you need to solve or a project that you need to work on. And in most cases, you don't know who it is that has that expertise. So being able to locate the work that they have done that's related and being able to communicate with them directly, but also see the related content and insights that they already have gotten. And finally, from an administrator's perspective, being able to do audit reporting, see how users are engaging with search, what improvements can be made. Really over time, you can't just set it and forget it. It needs to evolve with how your employees are working. So we know that that is changing very quickly. All right, so how does it work? So we'll talk a bit about what makes, if you're evaluating an intelligent search solution, how what good looks like. So there are three key areas. So the first one is connecting and combining data. So being able to plug into any of your information or data sources that you need, where your employees need to be able to access content. So in any internal sources, external sources that they need, and bringing it all into one place. But also automatically organizing and enriching that data. So a lot of what's in your organization is really lengthy content, but also mostly unstructured data that you need to automatically be able to make sense of, to enrich so that it's actually discoverable by your employees. And finally, injecting intelligence into that. So intelligence about your content, how useful specific information is, what is that source of truth, and user intent. So understanding what is it that that user needs to find, because oftentimes you know the job that you have to do, but you don't know exactly what that piece of content is or what that specific issue is that you maybe need to know of before you proceed. And in addition to that, really, intelligent search should help really remove friction from any job. So different jobs require different actions, different decisions that need to be made. And the search solution should be different. So most of the customers that we talk to, they start with one search application, but over time are able to rapidly develop applications that work for different departments. So as an example, a research team, in pharmaceuticals, let's say they can do research both internally and externally on a specific drug that they need to take to market and do clinical trials. So they need to look at and analyze data differently than, let's say, someone who's building a product in manufacturing. Or if you're an auditor, you're investigating a specific issue and you need to uncover information in a different way. Or if you're supporting a customer, you need access to that customer information, but also issues are related. And I want to show you what this looks like in action with a real example. So let's say you're an engineer who works on fixing product or part related issues. You need to have access to very specific data sources like parts data, supplier data, processes that you should be using, improvements that you could potentially make. Maybe there are similar issues that have been solved in the past, and you need access to that solution as well. And what's needed is connecting all of these different systems. So we hear often that people are wasting a lot of time going from one, actually aggregating all of this information and putting it into a view where they can solve a problem. So making these systems connected, turning it quickly into insights, finding experts, really complex issues come up, being able to find the right people that you need to help you with a problem or find their work. And you need to know that the information is accurate, that it's complete. There's a lot of risk behind not fixing an issue fast enough or choosing the wrong solution to a problem. So you need to know that it's accurate. And if we look at, let's say, what this engineer needs to view, they, for example, need to see a 360-degree view of a specific product. So the general information, of course, related events, so issues around it in the past or usage of it. They need to view the bill of materials, all of the different components that are part of it, and timeline. If maybe there are changes that are going on right now, maybe that have just happened to fix something. So being able to get that complete view of the job that needs to be done. And to real life kind of example of that is a semiconductor manufacturer that we work with who faced issues. They had field engineers who were going to service their customers on site, and they needed to order replacement parts. And they found that they had a really high cost of returned parts because they weren't able to find the right part to order in order to solve an issue. And they chose Sinequa as a search application for their field engineers. And what they found is, it's really slow. What they were able to find is that their field engineers were therefore better equipped with search to be able to extract actionable insights when 70% of their data was completely unstructured. So being able to actually take that, turn it into the insights they needed to order the right parts, to be more productive, to improve customer satisfaction, to improve their own satisfaction. So some of the key business results that we see with our customers, some of the main ones is one, improving revenue. So we have proven this with a large pharmaceutical customer of ours that are bringing new drugs to market, and they needed to do that faster. So they were able to go to market before any of their competitors. Optimize costs, so saving time, say with customer service agents, or saving engineering time, or a number of different ways that they were able to improve costs, in addition to reducing mistakes, let's say with a part, or minimizing duplication of work or of solutions. Really fueling innovation. This is probably one of the main value adds that we hear from our customers, is it really allows them to be able to drive the innovation within their company and being able to come up with innovative solutions. If you can't access what exists, how can you come up with new knowledge and new innovative solutions to go to market with? And ultimately, in any case, improving overall productivity of employees. Now, we hear this from all of our customers today. We work with some of the largest organizations across a number of different industries globally. And we have consistent leadership within Gartner this year with the Gartner Magic Quadrant and the Forrester Wave for cognitive search. We were named a leader multiple years in a row. And finally, we're really helping to, or the latest news, we're really helping to build the future of work. So we have built an intelligent extension to Microsoft Teams. So if you're an organization that spends a lot of your time doing work within Teams, you're able to use Sinequa's intelligent search platform to be able to uncover expertise, to get 360-degree views, to share documents, to better collaborate, ultimately improve how people can collaborate with one another. And we'd love to talk to you more. We have a number of different resources that you can access. So some of the research that I shared is APQC partnered with Sinequa to look at some of the major trends in knowledge management and information findability, which you can find on our website or APQC's. And the Northrop Grumman example, along with a number of our other customers, talk about their success stories through our online Inform events. We have another one that's coming up in just a couple of months that we'd love to have you at, and a number of other different great resources. So I'd love to, take any questions that you have right now. Feel free to put them into the chat or contact me directly.
Hey, Alana, it looks like we already have one question, which is, can you talk about some of the new capabilities that Sinequa is working on based on customer feedback and needs?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So we have a number of different areas that we're working on. I'd say probably some of the main ones would be around improving machine learning capabilities and building those out. So there are a lot of advancements that are being made within machine learning that we're taking advantage of to be able to do things like understand content better and classify documents, understand query intent better, a lot in terms of deep learning so that we can better understand both of these areas based on smaller amounts of data, so being able to be more intelligent. I'd say that, and Sinequa was really started and built on our natural language processing capabilities. So we're always doing work to improve those. It's really core to what we do. So we're always making those better so that we can really handle the complexity of our customers' issues or our customers' needs and better address those.
Perfect. And then I think I have a little bit of a follow-up question here around any examples of using machine learning around databases or lessons learned. I don't know if there's anything specific that comes to mind there, Alana.
Yeah. So all of our customers, they're using it in very different ways depending on what the use case is. But what we're really using around that is allowing, I know a couple of examples of customers who are allowing their users or their employees to be able to interact with content and better improve the relevance. So, things like rating content or linking content to one another. So being able to have that kind of user input to be able to fuel how the platform is learning from them.
And the next question, they're coming through, they always do. How much groundwork is required to ready the data in the underlying systems to make intelligent search work well? I've heard this one before, so.
Yeah, I would say, it really depends on one of the first questions we ask is the number of different systems that you need to be able to access and connect to. So, it's fully dependent on that. We have, the Northrop Grumman one that I talked about, that search project, they were able to implement it within 30 days. They started with a couple of data sets. So it really kind of, it totally depends on, so it could be anywhere between, a month to a couple months, depending on how many different, pieces of content and data sets you need to access.
And then I had a question that I was scribbling down, Alana, that I think ties to some of the questions here around, can you show an example of Teams applications? You mentioned about making search more collaborative, that part of the Northrop Grumman example. And I'm curious, how do you integrate that with maybe digital workplace or collaboration applications that you already have installed, and how you think about those collaboration capabilities integrating or overlapping, or just how that works?
Yeah, I mean, I would say within the workplace, probably the first thing that you're thinking about is your communication tools. You need to make sure that employees can communicate with each other. And while they're doing that, while they're collaborating, say they're working on a document together within teams, they are, they're creating knowledge. And I think that, a big missing piece that we hear from our customers is, how do you take advantage of all of that great knowledge that they're collaborating on and that they're communicating on to solve issues. So, from our perspective, from the perspective of our customers, it's really enabling better collaboration there, so that they don't have to do rework, so that they don't have to, reinvent the wheel around knowledge that already exists, and they can do things like better innovate.
So I've got a question about how this works under the hood. Can you say more about how data is automatically organized and how the data connections work in your system?
Sure. So we have over 200 pre-built connections to all of the major content and data repositories. I'm happy to share those. And it uses essentially, I mean, you can set rules and tagging to be able to extract things like entities or specific pieces of security rules as well. So you can set that up and also have it automatically kind of understand and normalize that data. I'm happy to, and maybe we can share as a follow-up to some of the kind of a peek under the hood that we can provide for you to really understand how those capabilities work. I'd be happy to share that after.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then there's just a few clarifying questions here. One is around, is the software hosted in the cloud, or is there an on-premise installation? So what this kind of looks like in terms of a solution. I don't know if you want to speak to that briefly.
Sure. So we, our vision and kind of our purpose is we've built our technology to work with how your systems work. So whether you're on-prem, in the cloud, we support Azure integration. You can build it on top of Azure. That's one of our latest. But typically our customers have a more hybrid approach. So they might have some on-prem information systems, some in the cloud. So we can, we are kind of driven to support any of the ways that that you work and how you store your information, how you prefer to.
Excellent. And then there's a couple of questions in the chat here, so I'm gonna flip over and make sure to cover both of these. So do you work with the customer to develop taxonomy to better inform the search process, or do you have your own and the AI learns as people search?
Yeah, both. So yeah, in that example that I used, that was one of the things that our customer Northrop Grumman really cared about, was being able to have those built-in functionalities to be able to understand and normalize that data without needing that human intervention, but also being able to customize it because to things that are really unique to you, like very specific security rules or any different rules you need to put in place. So yeah, definitely a mix of both. It depends totally on what your needs are.
And then the next question, I think, is really about the examples you were sharing around the results, around cost reduction and also encouraging innovation, and whether you have examples of that and how you calculate or measure or show either cost reduction or increased innovation as a result of implementing this kind of solution.
Yeah. So it depends, it depends on, I can show an example actually, maybe not show one, explain one, but one of our customers that we were talking to in the energy space who, they had a solution that went across their organization for all of their employees. And they monitored the time, as a benchmark, how long it took people to find information, how easy it was, and they actually surveyed all of their employees to see. And what they found was that on average, because of search, they were able to save, everyone saved on average an hour per day. And they tied that to, $1,000 of time on average. So they were able to calculate in time savings, and productivity, how they were able to do that. So just as an example, whether you did it through surveys or through usage analytics, through improvements that are made along the way and satisfaction of employees.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of the digital workplace is we have more data to work with to try to do some of these calculations without having to go collect a lot of data manually. So that part's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it all ties back to, the reason and the challenge that you were facing before. So, what I talked about with, high cost of return parts and the reduction that you can see from that. Obviously, there are a number of factors that feed into it. But, being able to tie it back to the initial challenge that, and why you built the solution in the first place.
Well, and that was another thing that I scribbled down during your session. I love the examples have really specific use cases and problems that people are trying to solve rather than, I want to fix search. You're probably going to get better results if you know exactly what kind of business results you're trying to drive.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got a couple of questions here around tacit knowledge and expertise and how you extract knowledge from retiring staff, for example, and just how you build some of that deeper knowledge into these kinds of systems and help people get access to it.
Yeah, definitely. So I think there are two pieces to it. So one, I mean, it's a big cultural change. You know, people can be protective of their own knowledge or discouraged to create knowledge because they know that it'll just go into, you know, down a black hole and never be able to be found. So why share it in the first place? So, you know, in addition to having the right technology, it's a shift in how in the culture of your company and how knowledge is valued and encouraging people to share what they have and enabling them to be able to do that really easily. You know, that's why we adopt things like communication and collaboration tools. So it comes down to that and encouraging that sharing, and then as a result, really making it accessible and knowing that that can be reused and that it goes beyond just the bounds of your team to be able to do better and drive better results.
Absolutely. And I'll just add, I think when that information is immediately accessible and people can see the knowledge that they are capturing, whether they're retiring experts or just in the flow of their work actually being accessed and reused, that is very motivating versus, well, why don't you write a report that we're going to stick over here that nobody's going to look at?
Yeah, I'd say that's and that's like probably one of the biggest things that we hear is that, especially in specific industries, you might have an entire team or entire group of users or employees who've been there for many years and they're all retiring at once. So, that's a big part of any knowledge management program. So again, encouraging that creation and sharing of knowledge, but also really making it super easy to do so.
So Alana, I've got a question about one of those specific use cases. Are there examples of connecting chatbots for customer service directly to intelligent search so there's no service agent interaction, e.g. for product information?
Yeah. So from a customer service standpoint, I mean, we have a lot who are using this, who are using search to be able to do that, both internally for service agents to answer questions quickly and both, and externally, in support pages or things like that. So definitely, I mean, specific use cases around that, whether they need to surface product related information. Typically, we definitely thrive in really complex environments, with very complex products, whether that's an airplane or a train or, and they have millions of different parts that are changing and a market that's changing. So, in those really complex situations, I think is where, especially from a customer service standpoint, where it's not just, where do I find this, small, whether it's like a consumer product, it's really more around those complex ones. So definitely.
So I've got a couple of questions asking about how knowledge management and business process management kind of fit together in the digital workplace. So I don't know if you guys have done a lot of work on the process management side. I think we at APQC see findability as being critical to both of those things. But I don't know if you have any thoughts on how those two play together in the digital workplace.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, processes are put in place all the time. They change all the time and they need to be used. So a lot of what the challenges are that bring our customers to us or that these use cases come up is, really eliminating mistakes in, building something that's new, let's say, and you didn't use the right process. You couldn't find the right process that was in place. So they're seeing a really high cost in issues early on in the design, in a design process, let's say, or, it slows the time to market. So those are kind of some of the key challenges that impact those, which is where, being able to find the right processes and move quickly for sure.
Yeah, I think we talk a lot in knowledge management about finding the right problem to solve, and you've kind of given some great examples today. I think process management often knows what those problems are and can help you pinpoint them, but a better flow of knowledge, more integrated flow of knowledge can help you with, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess just to add to that too, I mean, oftentimes, and I think I very briefly said that you don't know where the answer to your question or the information that you need lives. And even if you do, there's things like firewalls, that will keep you from it. So you need to ask for permission. It slows you down. So, having something like search in place that helps you set up those rules for who can see what, and being able to surface that regardless of where it is, you don't really need to know that is key. And I think it also goes back to the employees that are leaving and retiring, and they have this, they have years of this knowledge on knowing how to navigate the different systems. It helps to kind of eliminate that ramp up time for, let's say, someone who's new or changes roles or whatever it is.
So you mentioned firewalls. I've got a couple of questions here around security and privacy. So I'll ask this one. Does the system take data protection and privacy considerations into account? And if so, how?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a number of, security is obviously, and data privacy is also really, it's important everywhere. We have a number of European customers where this is constantly top of mind. So being able to set up rules, you don't know what, a lot of the administrator roles, they're able to actually find that sensitive data and make sure that it's that they surface it and they can protect it before it's accessed by the wrong people. So I guess there's that, and then there's also from a customer standpoint, so we have some customers who are like, how are you collecting my data? I need to know exactly where and exactly how, as an example. So being able to look at that specific customer and know exactly where their data is being used, that can take a lot of time. So being able to use search to be able to do that is, I think, one big example.
And then just related to the privacy and security issues in particular, I did have a question about whether you work with any government agencies and if there's any special considerations for working with the public sector versus the private sector. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, we do. We work with a number of different government agencies, especially in Europe, but also in the U.S. both. So yeah, we have they all have their own unique issues, but I'd say security is probably the biggest one that needs to be addressed. And they do a lot of work around it. And we actually have regular customer roundtables where they can come together and share in very specific industries. So we've learned a lot, and they've learned a lot from each other on how they use search and beyond to be able to make sure that they protect it.
So I've got a couple of questions about the user experience, how the results of search are displayed to users, whether it's easy for users to interact with the system. So I don't know if you want to just go a little bit deeper on what the experience is for an end user encountering this kind of search solution.
Yeah, so it's very dependent on what it is, on the job that they have, and that's a really important piece in making it, having a UX that they can easily interact with. I think that's a big problem with turning knowledge into action is that we use all different technology every single day, and we oftentimes need to adapt how we work to the systems that we're working with. So being able to actually connect all those together, but also display information in a specific way, whether that's, if they need to look at things like heat maps or trends, or, it's very customizable to how that person works, mainly so that they can work quickly. They're looking at the right things, the most relevant, results. And it's, a mix of automatically learning from their intent and what works, what information is most important. But also, as much as necessary, incorporating, users' ability to be able to, tag things that they think are important, that they think are related, that they want to save, that they want to share. So having a mix of both automatically improving relevance, but also having that customization in place so that users can do it on their own and be able to more easily share and learn.
So I think you're talking about how customizable it is and integrated into different platforms. I have a question kind of with a with a laundry list of, interested in the tools it works with, such as SharePoint, Salesforce, ServiceNow, OneDrive. So I don't know, do you guys have a list of or how do you think about different systems that you can integrate with?
Yeah, we do. So we have over 200 integrations with all the major content platforms. We work with our customers to develop ones, that we might not have. If they have kind of a unique system, and then determining how they need to extract data from those different systems. So yeah, all the major ones I see that are listed here, we have, and I'm happy to share that, a list of our content connectors as well.
All of that is possible, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So there's a question around how much ongoing maintenance is required, and just how you think about, once you have this in place, the upkeep that's necessary to make it continue to work for you.
So we talk a lot about the importance of not just, set it and forget it. I think that, we had one of our customers speak at our customer event who, hears it all the time, like, why can't we just have Google? Google has thousands of engineers, and, and they don't even have Google for the enterprise. So it's, I think it needs to be known that it is complex, it is unique. We provide a very, years of development behind a search technology, but it needs to be, really prioritized and continually adapting to the needs of your users. The way that they work is constantly changing, and the way that they want to get to information is constantly changing. So being able to tweak how their search experience works is really, it's really important to making sure that it constantly works for them. So we hear all the time from our customers that, you need to work towards making it better every day. We help a lot with that, but it, needs to be continually refined and customized for their users.
Well, and you did such a nice job of talking about the stakeholder analysis in some of the examples. I feel like continuing to do that on an ongoing basis, so you understand how those needs and challenges are developing, is critical to any kind of KM solution, this included.
Yeah, for sure.
So I've got one more question here in the Q&A, which is, does your search solution allow for AI voice analytics driven searches that would surface results in real time during conversations between knowledge workers and the clients they support, or based on the workers' activities in their primary tools, CRM, software, etc.? That was a long one.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm glad I can see the questions and read them too. Yeah, I'd say, so voice analytics, I know that that's very important. It's not something that we're at least addressing right now. It's really based on their activity and their intent to what they, to the work that they're doing and what they need. But we're definitely, we're making a lot of advancements in the way that our users are working.
And then it looks like we've got a question around, other than findability, what are some other business benefits that you've been quantified? And I feel like you've talked about some of them. Is there anything else that you'd want to highlight there, or just what you see as the biggest business benefits?
Productivity, is one of the, that impacts a number of different areas of the business, of course, but yeah, productivity of your employees. Like I said, with the ones that we talked to, their ability to be able to impact their high level goals of driving innovation and being a leader and being at the forefront of that is one of the main value adds, or one of the biggest value adds that our customers are seeing, because you can't innovate if you don't know what is out there and what exists, and being able to move quickly. So that's really one of the main ones that we hear from a lot of them. But a number of different business benefits. Feel free, we have a number of different case studies and customer stories on our website that you can definitely take a look at.
And then I'm going to ask this one last question, which is really around people who maybe have different enterprise search solutions in place. is there anything that you would point to that you feel like makes Sinequa unique, or sort of differentiators for you guys, and what your response to is around that? People who maybe have some different solutions that do similar things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I'd say, yeah, Coveo is definitely there. I'd say, I would really look at where you're headed as a business, and where your values are. I mean, I know that, we are, and kind of where that roadmap is. I know that Coveo really specializes with e-commerce, and, consumer related sites and understanding, product catalogs. Like I said, I mean, Sinequa, our bread and butter is really with very complex, large organizations. The Forrester Wave that just came out, I think about 2 weeks ago, the main thing that they took from us as one of the leaders is that we make search strategic. Our customers, like I said, are very, very complex. They have complex needs. They have complex decisions that have to be made. They're high risk in not making the right decisions. They're very innovative. So, I would say definitely compared to some of the other ones, really understanding where they're making their investments as a company, and where they're headed, and making sure that aligns with where your business is headed is really important. And we can also feel free to take a look at those reports. You can download it for free from our website.
Excellent. Well, we've got a couple more questions, but I think a lot of them are really specific to industries and things like that. So I think it might make sense to follow up on those, on more of a one-on-one basis.
Sure.
So I think we've addressed most of the broad questions. Thank you so much, Alana, for a bit of a lightning round here on questions. You have excelled.
I'm glad there are a lot. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, we have our APQC 2021 Process and Knowledge Management Conference coming up in October. Sinequa will be there speaking and sponsoring that event. So we hope that as many of you as can will attend in person, as well as obviously reminders about our monthly webinars and upcoming roundtable series. So I hope to see some of you over the next few months virtually, and then in October in person here in Houston. Thank you so much, Alana, and thank you everyone for attending, and hope to see you all next month.
Great. Thanks so much, Lauren. Thank you, everyone.